trunk of his car. The FBI found both items. Bays is free from jail on his own recognizance. Illinois' largest public employee union says Governor Bruce Rauner is dragging his feet on their promised raises. The governor's office yesterday asked the Illinois Labor Relations Board to allow them to pay just 6 months of back pay, not the $63 million that AFSCME says it's owed. A spokeswoman for Rauner says they should only have to pay for raises up until AFSCME's contract expired in June of 2015. There's not been a new deal signed with the union since. The state's farmers are watching their corn and soybean plants race to harvest this year, and it looks like both crops are in good shape, says USDA crop statistician Mark Sloisner.
The condition of the corn crop in Illinois was rated as 80% good to excellent to go. The condition of the Illinois soybean crop was rated 75% good to excellent.
Recent rains in Illinois were not taken into consideration on current crop conditions. Illinois taxpayers will soon have a better idea of who's working where in state government. Governor Bruce Rauner yesterday quietly signed a new law aimed at ending offshoring in state government. Lawmakers say Rauner is just the latest governor to hide the salaries of many of his staff members in other state agencies. The governor says the law is about transparency and good government. In the newsroom, I'm Tim Petrovich.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-216-8991. 800-216-8991. Again, that's 800-216-8991.
Southern Illinois weather.
For today, some patchy fog possible early on, otherwise becoming partly sunny with high temperatures near 83. Then for tonight, mostly clear conditions, low 60s. For your Thursday, plentiful sunshine up to around 87, and for your Friday, upper 80s. Slight chance for a storm Saturday near 89. From the Weather Eye Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro on Monster Radio AM 1150. Right now it's 64.
Local talk this weekend.
Hey, if you're in the car, join me, Chris Hahn, Saturday mornings at 9:05 for SI Car News.
On Monster Radio, WGGH.
Fat Men in Radio, Rick and Bubba. I myself call them Richard and Bubsy. But that's another story.
Here we go, 6 minutes past the hour of the Rick and Bubba Show. 866-WE-BE-BIG is our number. Speedy, the real Greg Burgess, Helmsy, Eddie Van Adler, all here today bringing you another Rick and Bubba Show. Don't forget the Rick and Bubba Outdoor Expo coming up August 24, 25, 26. Do you have your plans yet? Well, go to rickandbubbaoutdoorexpo.com. Get ready to go. Let's welcome back for a brand new hour. There he is, Bill Bubba Bussey.
Well, glad to be here, Rick. Thank all of you for being a part of the Rick and Bubba Show.
Well, we're glad you're here. So we have things to talk about. Would this fall, it wouldn't be You America, would it?
You know, it kind of is.
These are the days of America, walking together through the promised land.
Okay, Bub, what's going on?
We're in, Rick, those uncharted waters that we really have not thought about, and we've got two rights going against themselves here. 3 courts on Tuesday barred the chief promoter of a 3D printable gun from posting his designs online just hours before a midnight deadline that would have made the information widely available. Courts in New Jersey, New York, and Washington State issued a ruling barring Cody Wilson and his company, Defense Distribution, from uploading instructions for making a 3D printable gun at midnight on Wednesday. Now, what makes this strange, Rick, why this deadline? He had planned to do so under a settlement he reached in June with the government and the Trump administration. So now the government, after they looked at it a little bit further and some courts looked at it, they said, just hold the phone a minute. We're going to have to look at this.
Tap the brakes.
Now, there's a lot of people saying, and Trump even weighed in on this yesterday a little bit, we don't need printable guns that you can take a 3D printer, which is, the rage now, where you can, basically design things like we've never been able to do before, and be able to print, basically make your own gun.
Does it fire?
It will fire, and it could be made out of plastic, which means it would be undetectable. So the current law says you cannot have a plastic gun. That's been around for 30 years. Okay, so that's really not in doubt. They are saying that this is is discriminating against their First Amendment rights to be able to put this out if they want to. Well, you have the folks now. You know how the gun control people they're always going to be anti everything.
Sure.
But even folks who are big supporters of the Second Amendment are saying, we might need to look at this.
Like the way this feels.
We don't need the street full of plastic guns. That's even going to make what we're doing and trying to live as a society even more difficult. But does it go against and that even brings up a second amendment debate about can you outlaw plastic guns? So anyway, the 3 different courts have ruled to stay this and put it on hold until they can sort it out. But it has moved us because of technology into a new world that we really are dealing with things we never had to think about before.
Now, I know you have the quote I was listening to in the break.
Yeah, we can play it. CNN talked to him on the phone, so this is just audio.
Okay.
He was being interviewed by CNN, and this is what it went like.
You have more than 20 states trying to block you from making these directions available online. So what do you expect to happen?
I expect they won't win. We've already published the files, so I don't know how they could get me to stop publishing the files.
President Trump tweeted that he's looking into 3D plastic guns. He said this doesn't seem to make sense. What's your response to the president?
I don't sell 3D guns, so the president will understand that in time.
Are you worried that the government will reverse its decision?
Oh, like I told you, I already uploaded the plans. The ship has sailed. It's public domain information now. It's irrevocable. No one can take it back. I don't believe that access to information is ever tremendously negative or a bad thing. I know that people can use information for bad things, but this isn't a justification to what? Stop a publisher from speaking? Do public libraries perform background checks on people before they read books? It's just not how speech and publication works. If it's illegal for you to make a gun in this country, it's illegal for you to make a gun. You're violating the law. But that doesn't mean that that possibility prevents people from being able to legally share and freely access this information. It just doesn't work that way. I believe that people can publish this information. I know that they can legally under the First Amendment. Now, if the question is a moral question, like, was it right? Should you do it? My answer is yes. I believe that I should. I believe in what I'm doing. I know that that upsets everyone. Chuck Schumer's out there with a bill today saying, no, guns should only ever be the way they've always been, and we have to prevent them from becoming new. It's just a depressing world to live in. There's less to hope for when things have to be frozen and things have to be managed. And I don't know. I find it profoundly unromantic.
So, yeah, the plans have been posted since Friday. They've been posted, and I think downloaded over, 2,500 times or something? I heard some really big number.
So I understand what he's saying. He's saying, I'm not selling guns. I'm selling. I'm just putting information out there.
Kind of a gray area,
and the
hadn't really thought about it. He's not selling guns, as he said, but he is selling the code and the plans that you can plug into your 3D printer and print one out at home. So is he or is he not? I don't know. I
find myself into the technology. How can I print out something at home and it turn into a firing gun?
Well, if you have a 3D printer, you basically put a block of material, in this case plastic, in a box, and this thing goes to trimming off pieces, and when you're done, you have a gun.
I see.
Yeah, it's really kind of space age technology. I mean, most of the time, like in a school or something, they can design things with CAD software, and they print it out and they make it out of plastic or some kind of wax stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty cool. You can design a gear, or you can design different pieces of machinery, and that thing cuts it out of a block, and that's what you've got when it's done, and you put it together. It's really revolutionary way of manufacturing things and making and designing things. But how usable is it? In a bigger, more industrial situation, they would be able to put a block of metal in there, and lasers and torches. What am I trying to say? Like they cut metal with would be able to do that and also print it out, so to speak. So, I mean, it's amazing where this technology is, and obviously now we see it, bumping up against the law and our rights. I don't really know where we fall on this.
So, what did? How many did you say is out there right now? 2,500.
He said 2,500. I don't know. The story I saw, what they were talking about yesterday, it was supposed to be released at midnight last night, or tonight, I guess it is. And he's saying it's already out there.
It's been online since Friday. The restraining order came through, and then the restraining order will hold till August the 10th until the courts can I guess it's been a rescheduled hearing until then. So the temporary restraining order blocks the release until, August the 10th. But he's saying it was already out for a couple of days before this order came down.
So it's already floating around out there on the web.
Mm-hmm. Now, they say that the 3D printers are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And so they're saying as far as criminals go, it's a lot of trouble to go through, but I don't know.
So, all right, we'll come back. There's a lot of phone calls coming in about it. So we'll come back and we'll take your phone calls.
You know, the NRA weighed in on it yesterday and basically said in their statement, plastic guns are illegal and have been for 30 years. So... But is the information
the blueprint,
how to do it, is that also a violation? I don't know.
He said he's not violating anything. Is somebody violating something once they make one?
That's what he's saying. Right. That's what he's saying.
We'll be back. Your phone calls are next.
Rick and Bubba.
If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, we've got good news for you. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Right now, for only $5, you can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. That includes body cleanser, One Wipe Charlie, shave butter, and their best razor, the 6-blade Executive Plus, 4 replacement cartridges. Keep the blades coming after that for a few more bucks a month. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Bubba. Or you can go to rickandbubba.com and look right there under the sponsors.
Mosquitoes can make summer miserable.
True, Bubba, but their days are numbered thanks to our friends at Cook's Mosquito Patrol.
Cook's now treats mosquitoes? That's a great idea.
Just imagine this, Bubba. The mosquito populations rapidly reduced by up to 90%.
Finally, we can enjoy our yards and our patios without being eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Summers will never be the same thanks to the folks at Cook's Mosquito Patrol. Looky, looky, looky. Here comes Cookie.
Cook's Pest Control.
Credit products are made by WebBank. Rates and terms vary based on credit history. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
How did I get into credit card debt? A trip to the emergency room.
Car repairs.
Moving expenses.
There's a million ways to get into credit card debt, but one sure way to start getting out: Avant. Avant offers access to online unsecured loans from $2,000 to $35,000 at competitive rates and no extra charges for paying back early. Over 500,000 customers have experienced the convenience of a loan through Avant. No wonder Avant has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. The application takes minutes, and if approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time Monday through Friday, funds are deposited as soon as the next business day. And now Avant will also give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after your first payment is made on time. To check your loan options and to get this special radio offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 7171 when applying. That's AVANT.com, promo code 7171. Avant.com, code 7171.
If you have frequent heartburn, take control of it with Prilosec OTC instead of stashing antacids everywhere, like in your junk drawer, buried under old batteries and hotel pens, or in your purse, hiding in the one pocket you won't check. You even have antacids on your nightstand, which are very hard to see in the dark. It's time you stopped stashing antacids and started taking Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn.
It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days, not for immediate relief.
Napa know-how.
Right now, Prestone Coolant is just $12.99 at Napa. Its temperature-controlling formula helps keep your engine cool, or as the kids say, chill. But don't worry, Prestone Coolant won't start calling you dude or crash on your couch. It'll just keep your engine cool for an affordable price, just $12.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 8/31/18.
At ACE, we believe there's nothing better than helping kids. That's why we've been proud to support Children's Miracle Network hospitals for over 25 years. This Friday through Sunday, get our 5-gallon bucket and 20% off almost anything that fits inside when you donate $5 to support Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And like ACE, CMN hospitals are local, so the money you donate helps kids near you.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Offer valid at participating stores on regular price merchandise only. Additional conditions and exclusions apply. See store for details.
This morning's a little slow because you binge watch your favorite show. You watched all night instead of going to bed. Now you're at work and feeling dead. Spoiler alert, today is going to hurt. You look like a zombie when your morning is hell. Just go to Taco Bell.
And for just $1, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's grilled breakfast burrito. Eggs, bacon, and cheese wrapped in a warm tortilla. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours. Prices may vary, tax extra.
CVS.
Get $10 in extra bucks rewards when you spend $30 on these sizzling offers and more, only at your neighborhood CVS pharmacy. Have a great hair day with select dry shampoo and any Shea Moisture hair care. Buy one, get one 50% off. Restrictions apply. See cvs.com/weekly ad for details.
Visit CVS.
Warm weather brings lots of outdoor activities like hiking, fishing, yard work, sports, and more, but sometimes we experience the aches and pains that come with these extra activities. Relief Factor can help you with that. Relief Factor is a natural supplement that works to fight inflammation that causes joint and muscle pain. It's 100% natural. It's only 4 powerful ingredients. Stop taking the over-the-counter pain medications and try Relief Factor. First-time users get a quick start supply for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or find them at rickandbubba.com under the sponsors. Let the people speak. 20 minutes past the hour. Rick and Bubba's show. 866-WE-BE-BIG is our number. Chuck in Kentucky will get us started. We'll roll through the calls.
Distance directory assistance.
At the end of 30 seconds, the buzzer sounds. Time on the program comes to a close. That's a funny text, by the way. Please let Greg see it. All right, we'll start. Chuck, you got 30. Here we go. Trolling.
Keep them phones a trolling.
Here we come, phone trolling, phone troll. Chuck, go right ahead, buddy.
Yeah, hey, I'm a firearms dealer in Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
And part of the NRA statement is a little misleading. All plastic guns are physically impossible because you still need a barrel, you still need springs, you still need mechanisms in there that are metal, so they are detectable. But the other part of it is that major manufacturers have been making plastic receiver guns for years, for over 30 years. So the technology has always been out there. The other...
I don't care.
All right.
Well,
okay,
I wanted to hear more.
So it's been out there.
You got a flag?
Let's go to...
I got into listening to it. Sometimes I forget.
I did the
can
same
do
thing.
Kenneth, Jasper, it's a big responsibility. 104.7 WZZK. Go ahead, Kenneth.
First off, good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, thank you very much. You too.
Second, I hate to do it, but Bubba was describing a milling machine, not a 3D printer.
Oh, well, tell us what a 3D printer is.
A 3D printer actually takes like plastic and food materials, whatever, and it lays down a layer of spray on top of a layer of spray on top of a layer of spray until it builds up what it has been designed to make.
You saying that's
He
on
told you, Bubba.
Yeah.
He set you up on the curb.
How about that, too?
Fella. No wonder he went the weatherman.
Breaks up, knees up.
Breaks up, knees up. I wish you could have seen the break.
I worked on it a little bit there, and I forgot.
Did you go
Greg
hard?
Called me, and I went hard for a minute.
He did. He even actually moved around the room. Caleb in Gadsden, Z93. Caleb, go ahead.
Yes, I was just going to comment and say, by the way, monkey grass and green eggs.
Thanks for the comment. Go ahead.
But I was just wondering what's the difference between that information and, say, a video on YouTube of, of how to make a shotgun from a quarter or an inch metal barrel would be. I mean, there are videos out there for that as well. Is that the same type of information that needs to be?
Well, I think the plastic is what makes us a little different.
Yeah, I think what they're worried about is the fact that there's no serial numbers, no requirements for all that, and the fact that they can't detect it as easy. Now, the gentleman that called in said, yeah, well, there's still some metal parts involved, and that may be the case, but it certainly would not be as easily to detect. And I don't know. I'm not saying I'm anti it. It's just it's intriguing because it is a new thing that we've really not had to deal with.
Well, who wants to listen to you? You don't even know what a 3D printer is.
Look, you mill it down, you spray it up. It's the same difference. You make it in a box that you print it, basically.
866 we be big. Let's go to Sean.
What you did.
Out of Clanton. Sean, go ahead. 104.7 WZ 104.7.
Oh, he lost it. I see him all the time.
Randall in Huntsville, 100.3 The River. Randall, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you compare this to the Liberty gun that we dropped over the lines in World War II. It's just basically a little kit that you put together and use it to get a better firearm. It's a tool against tyranny.
Say it again, Randall.
I think he said it's a tool against tyranny was his closing statement. Is that correct?
Right. It's similar to the Liberty gun that we dropped behind the lines of World War II.
Okay, I guess I'm not familiar with that.
And 3D printers.
Right. Well,
the one, by the way, that's the rest of the show. I mean, you know,
yeah, both things he knows about.
Your face was just so number one to me.
Well,
but
praise.
We're talking about concept, and to me, it's the same thing either way. But
I understand what he's saying. But if we've passed a law,
the one I saw wasn't spray,
which makes us a little different. If we passed a law that you can't have plastic guns, now I certainly understand this man's argument saying I'm not making plastic guns
or straws.
Right, but
which, by the way, controversy on that today. Remind me.
Okay,
I'm gonna put right it down.
Let's go to Jackson, Mississippi. Is it Renell or Ronald?
Rommel.
Okay.
Rommel.
All right. Go
How
ahead.
you doing?
Good.
Yes, Rick and Bubba, I just called to say I've been listening to y'all for quite some time. I love your show.
Thank you.
The reason why I called is because about 18 years ago in Meridian, y'all were advertised on a billboard. I just wanted to ask, how much longer before that were y'all a show?
So, can you give me the timeline again?
18 years.
Yeah, about 2000, 2001.
Yeah,
that time frame.
All right, you got a timeout. We actually had been on the air officially as a two-man show for 6 years at that point.
Okay, then. Oh, great. Well, you know, I don't know if you ever heard of WJDX in Jackson, Mississippi, but the show was similar to yours, where, you know, you get up in the morning, you're going to work, or you're at home drinking coffee, making breakfast, and you know, you hear y'all talk on, you know, and there was a show that was similar to yours format, and on the show was a gentleman that was, you know, he's like a character. He's called Red, and he also could impersonate our two senators.
Okay.
Easterlin and John Stenison, and the show sort of reminds me of, you know, of your format.
Well, thank you. If they did a good job, I'm glad we're being compared to them.
Oh yeah, and you know, and I appreciate how you carry your faith with you. You don't intrude on people, but you know, you keep it with you, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, we try to, and at the end of it all, that's all really is going to matter anyway, isn't it? So, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that encouragement.
I appreciate all that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, man, brother. Thanks for calling and encouraging us and
clearing that billboard thing up.
Right. Yeah, there he got it. If it was 18 years ago, we've been on there six years. You can believe that, by the way.
You remember that 3D?
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Hey, know it all. You remember that?
I'm sorry. I stand with my original statement.
Right. I mean, if you want to talk about milling, Bubba's you got.
You know. But now 3D.
Did I even say that right?
Not.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
We continue. Let's go to Dale in Birmingham, 104.7 WZZK. Dale, go ahead.
Dan.
Well, fellas, how's it going?
Good. Hope you're okay, buddy.
This is not a new issue. I mean, when I was a kid, people were making potato guns, you know, shooting potatoes 100 yards. So if you shot somebody in the face with something like that, you could do quite a bit of damage, don't you guys think?
Well, look, I can speak. That is correct.
Yeah. Ain't nothing like a good tater gun, but probably not the same thing here. But
yeah, probably not.
I like a good old tater gun.
Yeah,
I do too. Boom. I liked the T-shirt gun till about 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was fun up till something got broke.
It always messes everything when something gets broke.
Gonna break something.
We continue. Tony in Mobile, Alabama. Tony, go ahead.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
We're good. Hope you're all right.
I'm doing great. The report I saw on this fellow with this information, you know, he keeps saying he wants to get it out because it's everybody's right, but he makes and sells those milling machines, so it's just his angle to sell more machines and make the money. He don't really care about the right.
Yeah. And once again, Bubba,
apparently, Tony, there's a big debate about if you build it up or cut it down if it's 3D printing. But to me, if you get it out of the printer, I don't care how you got it.
I thought I heard.
So he's saying that guy owns his job is selling those type of printers.
Well, he said that not really. He said,
is that not what that guy?
He said but he said if he want people to take that information and use a milling machine, he has some, but he's just saying, I'm not making you do it. You know,
I'm not forcing you to buy.
yeah, right. I mean, I do have some. If you do.
I'm the only guy you're going to get.
Right. Rocco in Georgia.
Hey, Rick, we need to do away with a pain scale from 0 to 10. Let's go with a Bubba scale, which is how many times you tell somebody you love them out of the blue. That means the closer you think you are to death.
That's a good
Well, see,
one.
that's different.
good.
That's different from the pain scale. That's the 1 foot in the grave scale.
If you think you're going to die, you just tell somebody you love them.
Oh, yeah.
If Rick hasn't been doing that, he's all right.
Yeah, if I tell anybody I love them today?
No.
No, I'm good.
Actually, the opposite.
Right. You're right.
We can do that in the kitchen here in a second.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I'm there. I'm not fearing it yet. You're good. Now,
careful.
I know. If that was over on the left side, y'all get a lot out of you. I made a bunch of them.
Love you, man.
Hey, look, if it was on the left side, y'all, I was in a bind. We'll be back. More Rick and Bubba coming up next.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
From the hub of the universe, this is Monster Radio 98.5 FM and 1150 AM.
WGGH, Marianne.
Monster Radio, local sports.
The Southern Illinois Miners are back in action today. The Miners are in the midst of a 10-game homestand and will play a doubleheader against the Traverse City Beach Bums tonight at Rent One Park. Southern Illinois finds itself in 4th place in the Frontier League's West Division at 31-32, but just 2 games behind first place Normal. Tonight's Twin Bill starts at 5:30. Ryan O'Hearn hit a 2-run homer in his Major League debut as the Royals defeated the White Sox 4-2 in Chicago. Matt Davidson homered with Jose Abreu aboard in the 7th for Chicago's runs. James Shields took the loss. The White Sox have dropped 5 of 6. The White Sox and Royals play the second of their 3 games at Guaranteed Rate Field tonight. Chicago 7-69. Dylan Covey toes the rubber for the Sox opposite Kansas City's Jacob Junis. First pitch tonight is at 7:10. You can listen to the game on Monster Radio WGGH with pregame coverage starting at 6:35. The Cardinals are saying goodbye to outfielder Tommy Pham. The 30-year-old was traded to Tampa Bay before yesterday's non-waiver deadline. St. Louis got 3 minor leaguers in return, including 2 pitchers. Pham hit .248 with 14 home runs for the Cardinals this year. 2 Cardinals pitchers are back on the disabled list. Starter Carlos Martinez is on the 10-day DL with a strained right shoulder, while reliever Luke Gregerson is on the DL for the 3rd time this season with shoulder impingement. He may not pitch again this season. The Cubs are beefing up their bullpen. Chicago acquired reliever Brandon Kinsler from the Nationals for righty John Romero. Kinsler has a 3.59 ERA this season with 2 saves and 15 holds. With this sports update, I'm Tim Petrovich.
What's the best-selling small tractor in America? Kubota's BX Series subcompacts. No other subcompact tractors on the market have so much versatility designed to fit in your garage. And if you're looking to mow right now, a 54-inch mower deck is included. Get a BX 1880 for as low as $99 a month with 0% APR financing for 84 months. Now through June 30th, 2018. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Visit FB McAfoos or go to Kubota.com.
On September 24th, 2019, WGGH will celebrate 70 years on the air. George Dodds and Hardly Grisham both realized their dream in 1949 as WGGH crackled to life for the first time, with a format of local information, country and western, and big band. Then in 1955, the station moved from its near Carbon Street location to a new state-of-the-art facility on Old Route 13 east of Marion, and increased power to 5,000 watts, delivering a signal into parts of 5 states. WGGH was one of the top-rated stations in Southern Illinois with its pop MOR format. In the late 70s, then sole owner George Dodds decided with FM taking hold, it was time to follow his heart and change to a Christian format, which remained until Fishback Media realized in 2008 that in order to remain relevant, programming must be diversified. A talk format with some remaining Christian programming was put into place and continues today. There's been many changes of format and ownership and location over the years, but one thing remains constant. WGGH
Passenger, light truck, sport utility, and aggressive off-road vehicles. Not only will Raven Tire give you a great price on your Kenda tires, but you'll also receive expert installation, a free alignment check, and free lifetime tire rotations to get the best performance from your tires mile after mile. Stop by your nearest Raven Tire and Auto Service Center or visit us now at raventire.com.
Dexter's Yard Care can take all the pain and strain out of maintaining your residential or business lawn. Think about it. After buying and maintaining the equipment, then all the time and sweating, and of course the gas, it may be more affordable and a lot easier to hire Dexter's Yard Care, and they're 100% fully insured. So if he cuts his foot off in your lawn, You're not responsible for it. Dexter's Yard Care, where they really do care. Call for your free estimate today. 618-926-6645 or Facebook.com/Dexter's Yard Care.
Southern Illinois weather.
For today, some patchy fog possible early on, otherwise becoming partly sunny with high temperatures near 83. Then for tonight, mostly clear conditions, low 60s. For your Thursday, plentiful sunshine up to around 87, and for your Friday, upper 80s. Slight chance for storms Saturday near 89. From the Weather Eye Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro on Monster Radio AM 1150. Right now it's 64.
Marion Wildcat, Johnston City Indians, Crab Orchard Trojan, Goreville Black Cats. Local high school sports on Monster Radio WGGH.
It's more precious than gold. Can be bought.
866 We Be Big is our number. I always enjoy the moment when the golden ticket seats get their card that's good for a free pound of BuzzBox coffee. But did you know what? You don't have to be here in the studio to get a free pound of what the response just the other day on social media. Somebody said, few things live up to the hype. BuzzBox coffee exceeds the hype. Top 1% Arabica, best coffee that you've ever drank. And we got all kinds of roasts and all kinds of things for you to choose from. And every time you drink a cup of coffee that's fantastic, we ship it right to your door. And then, of course, 10% of that goes to the Bronner Burgess Memorial Fund. And you know what? We don't just send cards in there letting you know what's going on with your donations. You know, we did this past couple of months, Bubba. We sent you information on the Rick and Bubba Outdoor Expo.
Yep.
We sent you information with that. We got a new coffee mug available. So you really we kind of hand check you there on what's going on with the show and what you're producing by drinking this wonderful coffee. So if you want a free pound, go to rickandbubba.com, click on BuzzBox, and you'll follow the steps. You'll pay shipping on the first pound we send you, but you won't pay for the coffee. And then if you love it, you decide you want to start subscribing and have that delicious, delicious coffee and wonderful aroma coming to your door every month, then we'll send you the coffee after that, and you don't pay shipping. You just pay for the coffee. So if you haven't joined, please do. If you have already, we sure do appreciate you. All right, so, Bubba, is this an update or no?
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay. Got it. Right, got the general part of it.
Update on another shoot, ready, aim from the far left, emotional left.
It's a Rick and Bubba news.
Not thinking something through.
Update. It's a Rick and Bubba news. Update. It's a Rick and Bubba news. Update. It's a Rick and Bubba news update.
Rick, we know about the great straw ban. Yes. This was going to save the oceans from plastic.
Oh, my God.
We've had this kick up in a couple of municipalities. Now states are looking at it.
Yeah, you see one turtle with a straw up his nose, and now nobody can drink out of a straw.
Even though the fact of that the United States is only a small portion of the pollution that we have found in the ocean, and plastic straws are a tiny, tiny part of that. It is the hotbed now for the left.
May I make one comment before we move to the update?
Please.
Did you see yesterday that it has now been admitted? Now, I'm not saying that this turtle with the straw is a fake deal. The woman who said she shot a polar bear dying of global warming has admitted she made it up. It didn't happen.
Right there you go.
It had nothing to
shocking.
That was a shocking thing because she thought something like that might get people's attention over something that hasn't been proven.
Goodness.
By the way, it is summer, so they're back to global warming, not climate change. All right.
So the possible and oncoming ban of plastic straws is now spreading. It is going to different legislatures. There's even national talk about it. Well, there's a problem here. We have a group of folks with disabilities that are saying, hold on just a minute, that's how we survive with plastic straws.
That's how we're able to eat.
And they are getting up in arms, so to speak. So now the debate has turned. And, of course, the people who are wanting to ban the straw say, well, we'll definitely give you an exception for that. If it's, if you have a disability and you're not able to eat or you have to drink through a straw or whatever, it's the only way you can get nourishment, then there'll be an exception to that. But the folks who are the caretakers and those folks with disabilities are going, but wait just a minute, that sounds good on paper, but that ain't really what will happen.
Of course it won't.
Once they ban straws and production of them go to almost zero, we won't be able to get them. We won't be able to find them because it will not be commercially viable for these companies to produce
And that price would be pretty, too.
Yeah, so it sounds good. Well, yeah, we'll give you a pass, and they can be sold as a medical device.
Right. I mean, we're talking about plastic straws.
Yeah, so we're back to, the ridiculous thing again of banning these things. Remember, too, and we went through this weekend, we have a problem with plastic bags. at the grocery store. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. These plastic bags, they get into everything. They blow. You've seen them in the trees. And they ever get into anything, boy, they dig in. You know, it's hard to get them off of it. Well, why do we even have these plastic bags that are becoming a problem now in trash and in water? Because the left made us go away from paper bags.
Correct.
Remember that?
To save trees.
And even now, on the other side of that, they want you to carry a bag that is washable. Well, we're washing. That uses water.
Right. And also,
there's a thing.
And I don't want to carry my own bag. I'm sorry.
No, I don't either. I don't want to bring it back.
I don't know how many
to
bring. I don't know what all I'm getting. Does anybody understand that customers like to be treated like royalty, not hassled?
Well,
okay, we're going to make it as miserable as we can for you to come to our place. Oh, thanks. I'm all in.
Let's go back to where we were. Paper bags. You can bury the paper in a landfill. It will dissolve over time. Then we plant more trees on top of it. We grow trees. We cut trees. We make paper out of it. It is a recyclable product. It takes time, but we have we have the ability to give it that time. I mean,
don't miss these narratives are never proven.
Yeah. Well, every time the left has tried to make it better, they've only created a worse problem. Every time they do this kind of thing. So why are we going to look to them now to solve another problem? Why don't we go back to what we know works? Give us paper bags.
Right.
We carried them home. We took our groceries out of them. We usually used them again around the house for something, and it may be to put garbage in. It may be to do this. Most people saved a good many of those bags. And then they end up in a landfill. They dissolve. I mean, if you've ever had a bag get wet, what happens to it? It tears right up.
Sure it does.
So in the ground, it is going to break down over time.
Did we ever prove that the paper bags were going to destroy all trees on our planet? Ever?
Or it was going to save them?
Never.
No. It was just an idea that they thought sounded good. Why not?
Well,
but this goes back to the global warming thing.
Yes.
This goes back. Every time this bunch of I got more time on my hands and I got sense comes up with an idea.
Preach.
It actually is a step backwards.
Yes.
Why don't we just quit letting them dictate what we do and how we live based on some egghead's theory in some think tank somewhere that's unproven, and they're wrong. They're never right about it. I mean, why do we keep going back to them? If the weatherman can't get the weather right, we're not going to keep listening to him.
Right.
And here we are again. I mean, we're just, now with the global warming, straws. Straws is it. Straws are killing the planet.
Here's an example of what you just mentioned about the bags.
Maybe not.
I think I was the only one that got this email. I'm looking. Yeah, I'm the only one on it, so I'm not telling you something you hadn't already read. This past Friday, I took my 6-year-old daughter to Opry Mills Mall in Nashville, Tennessee, to go shopping for the new school year. Can you believe it's back to school, by the way? We went to the Disney store first. I spent over $50 in the store on some shirts, Star Wars stuff, and a sword. Sounds like a good day of shopping. I go to check out, and the nice lady behind the counter said, "Would you like to purchase a bag to put your stuff in?" I said, "Well, what is my choice?" She said, "You can carry this stuff out because we don't give out bags anymore at Disney because we've banned all plastic bags." Well, I bought a 99-cent reusable bag. Now we're paying for bags.
Mm-hmm.
And don't miss it. And made sure the manager knew that not giving bags to customers was wrong. She politely told me off, and I walked out. Well, guess what happened? Last night when my daughter was putting the bag up, it broke.
Sure it did.
So she paid 99 cents for a piece of garbage that doesn't even function, and we're to the point that you're going into a Disney store overpaying for products, and their response to that is walk out and carry it yourself or buy one of our bags that ain't worth a crap.
And that's how they get you
because we're saving the planet.
Because they got your 99 cents.
And they don't have to buy bags.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and look, that would fall under the capitalistic free enterprise system. It will work itself out.
Right.
If there's a store giving you bags and a store making you buy bags, people will go to the free store if it's that big a deal to them. The store making you buy bags will go out of business. That's how it works.
Now, just like you said, though, it's been a decline. We all agree that those plastic bags were not as good as the paper bags.
Wasn't as good, and they don't break down. They last forever, and they're worse pollution than the paper bags ever were.
And for some reason, I tried to get out of the car with groceries and get every single one of them in one swoop.
Yeah.
Then now we're going from a piece of dung plastic not worth a darn bag to an even worse reusable bag. It just keeps
Look,
falling.
if you want to carry a tow sack to
Sure,
shop with you,
that's fine.
and a Santa Claus bag and throw it over your shoulder, that's fine. That's your business. That's your bizwax, okay? If you think that's more workable for you. I like paper bags. I like to be able to throw them away when I'm done with them.
And
they're recycled.
Good fire starters, too.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You burn
Great
good stuff
fire
with it.
starters.
And as a former bagger, the plastic bag ruined it. There used to be an art to it. You can be real fast, you know,
You
stack
had
it
to put the
and
right
you pick it
stuff
up
on
poop.
bottom.
You know what
You
they
had
call
to pop
Greg?
it open.
You know what they call Greg? Bagger Vance.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was like a blur.
But
Not anymore.
instead
Not
of just
anymore.
taking these egghead ideas and making them the law of the land, why don't we use a little common sense and a track record? I think that'd be good. A little science on it. Like the global warming. Hey, let's study it. Let's not destroy our economy on a theory.
I love
it ain't
egghead.
proven.
I like egghead.
Pointed head, egghead.
Right. We'll be back. More Rick and Bubba next.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
Napa know-how.
Car parts are filthy. Heck, seems like even looking at a car can stain your shirt. Luckily, Gunk Engine Degreaser is on sale for $3.99 plus $4 mail-in rebate, which is basically free. So get the cleaning power you need with Gunk Engine Degreaser. Now just $3.99 plus $4 mail-in rebate. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 8/31/18.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor, with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today, pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
At ACE, we believe there's nothing better than helping kids. That's why we've been proud to support Children's Miracle Network hospitals for over 25 years. This Friday through Sunday, get our 5-gallon bucket and 20% off almost anything that fits inside when you donate $5 to support Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And like ACE, CMN hospitals are local, so the money you donate helps kids near you.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Offer valid at participating stores on regular price merchandise only. Additional conditions and exclusions apply. See store for details.
I'm Devin. I deliver sandwiches for Jimmy John's.
Freaktown! Population Devin.
We'll deliver one sandwich.
Minimum freak.
Or hundreds of sandwiches.
Infinity freak!
However many you want.
You're mayor of Freaktown, Devin! Freaky fresh, freaky fast, Jimmy John's, freak yeah!
I'm Tammy. I get to Jimmy John's early every day.
Freak-a-doodle-doo!
To bake bread fresh.
Freak-a-doodle-do!
And we keep on baking throughout the day, so it's always fresh for our customers. That's all.
Doodaloo, freak-a-doo! Freaky fresh, freaky fast, Jimmy John's, freak yeah!
And now, a back-to-school message from Puffs Tissues. Back to school, kids will soon head to learn to make new friends and spread new germs. But ordinary tissues can leave noses red, so send them off with Puffs instead. Protect their school-bound noses. It's all you can do to keep a little red nose from coming home to you. Even in the classroom, a nose in need deserves Puffs indeed.
We've all got places to go. From work to play. Morning to night, it's go, go, go. And then go some more. We go for music, movies, workouts, and checkouts. It's quite the busy little schedule we've got going. And we need something to keep up with it all. To keep up with life on the go. That's where Valero top-tier certified quality fuel comes in. It keeps your engine running cleaner, better, and longer. So you can get right back to going. Find a station near you at ValeroCleanGas.com.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
If you live with a plan, that's called a budget. You live on less than you make, so you're saving money. You're always giving some money, and you avoid debt. If you'll keep working with those basic principles, you'll become wealthy over time. Hey, you guys, your 16-year-old's watching, by the way. Your 12-year-old's watching. You want to teach them how to handle money? Rachel Cruz says it all the time. More is caught than taught. They're going to do what you do, not what you talk about.
Weekday afternoons, 1 till 4 on Monster Radio, AM 1150.
If you need to move some earth, call Neat Cut Dirt Work. You've heard the Neat Cut name for years. They can do topsoil, fill dirt, tear buildings or houses down, dozer work. You name it,
Neat Cut can move some earth. Neat Cut Dirt Work in Marion. Call 922-4400. 922-4400. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Neat Cut Dirt Work in Marion. 922-4400.
We paid less for our Craftmatic today than we did 20 years ago.
If you're still searching for the perfect solution to a good night's sleep, call now for prices and free information on today's Craftmatic adjustable beds. And then decide when you see how little they cost. Discover Craftmatic for less, up to 50% less than today's leading memory foam brand.
Call 1-800-413-9021. That's 1-800-413-9021. 1-800-413-9021. Call now.
Play ball, your Southern Illinois baseball connection. Cool 93.5 and 1420 and Monster Radio 1150. Listen for White Sox baseball all season long on 1150 AM. And follow the Cardinals live on 93.5 FM and 1420 AM. It's Southern Illinois' baseball connection. The Redbirds on Cool 93.5 and 1420 and the Pale Hose on Monster Radio 1150.
The freedom to do whatever we want. No big corporations, no big conglomerates. Monster Radio 98.5 FM and 1150 AM.
Rick and Bubba's in Ohio!
Rick and Bubba.
Pass the gravy, please.
Rick and Bubba.
Ooh, it brings me to my knees.
10 minutes to the top of the hour, the Rick and Bubba Show. That makes me
day without a brother.
All right, so some other things that have been talked about. You got anything other? I was going to head to the sports world. You got anything other that you need to hit?
Let's see. There was something else.
What was the one more thing you wanted to hit there?
We're going to cover Trump's rally in Florida. You want to come back?
Oh, yeah, about when they went after, what's his name?
Yeah.
Yes, we got to do that.
Jim Acosta was there.
Yeah,
he got a warm welcome.
Yeah, he did.
Isn't it funny that's his name, and he's getting accosted
He's
everywhere?
kind of the poster boy for fake news now. Have you noticed?
Oh, yeah, and what I like is that he's so angry and so mad. And he gets ripped everywhere he goes.
He put some video up on his Twitter feed last night of people on him, and Rick, my gosh, they were on him.
Well, now, wait a minute. I mean, we got some stories here today of conservatives that can't eat out at restaurants. I thought this is what Maxine said she wanted.
Well, it's got very uncivil. I'll say that.
Did Maxine said that we're going to harass you when you go out, and that probably
don't let them breathe,
and that probably gets people fired up when the left shows up at one of their things.
Well, if you've been to a Trump rally, one of the classic songs that you're going to hear is "Look at the media back there. There is fake news," and the crowd, Rick, goes berserk on them. I mean, they boo them. They boo them to the point you think they're all named Bruce. You know what I mean?
You think it's the encore in spring?
Loudest noise you'll hear at the rally is them booing the media when he calls attention to it.
And then I love when, like Speedy was talking about, he gets in his deadpan voice and reports what's going on.
Yeah.
Golly, that owns me. Is that what you have here?
Yeah. You want to start with Trump or Acosta?
Trump, then Acosta.
Okay. So Trump starts to joke about his presidency and the fact that he's the most popular one and all this kind of stuff. It is funny.
The most popular person in the history of the Republican Party is Trump. Can you believe that?
Of course, that gets everybody going.
Today, I'm very proud of myself.
Look at that. Blacks for Trump. That's one
2020.com.
Yep.
There's some white guy holding it.
Now he's letting that breathe, Rick. You got to love that.
Well, he does. Well, I mean, he just got up and announced that he's the most popular Republican there's ever been.
I said, does that include Honest Abe Lincoln? He was pretty good, right?
Pretty good.
Remember I said, when I'd be a little bit wild and would have a lot of fun, they'd say, he's not acting presidential. And I'd say, well, it's a lot easier to act presidential than to do what I do.
No.
Anybody can act president.
That's so straightforward and honest. Did you see him make fun of it?
Look at it.
Now he's acting presidential.
Is that what presidential looks like?
Yeah. Look, he's going to march a little bit here.
Pouty face, I'm going to be serious.
That's funny.
Of course, they're eating it
You're
up.
talking about somebody, look, there he goes back, thrives on the crowd.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
now he's going
the state of Florida, thank you very much for being here. You are tremendous people.
He's doing Obama impression.
And I will leave now because I am boring you to death.
Look at him walking off.
our president.
Rick, that's unbelievable. Greg, he's completely decided that he's going to go exactly his way.
That is awesome.
By the way, everybody who's talking to him behind the scenes just buried their head down in their hands.
They can't believe
No, but I said, I used to tell them all the time, the fake news, I'd say, I can be more presidential than any president in history, except for possibly Abe Lincoln with a big hat. I don't know if I can.
So he's anybody but Abe.
Abe looked pretty presidential,
comparing
right?
himself to
What do you
Abe.
think? He's tough. He's tough. I admit it, Abe Lincoln is tough.
What is
But
wrong?
we love Abe Lincoln.
There's something wrong with him.
I love him.
Yeah, we love the top hat. Greg's the top hat this
When
over.
that poll came out,
Tough to beat.
most popular, and it was in the 90s. And one of these guys is on television, you know, can't miss a word. They see the poll. Oh my God, look at this. Oh my God. Yeah, 7 more years. 7 more.
Oh, my God.
Pointed to the media.
7 more.
right, so-
Greg, now Abe Lincoln with the top hat.
now-
it'd be tough to beat
Now, he
him.
just took Reagan and just Reagan's not even in his game.
All right, so now he's pointing in the back the whole
You
time
never
because that's
seen
where the
anything.
pool of cameras
Oh,
are,
sure, of
right?
course.
And
You
the
talking about fake
reporters are in the back of the room.
I don't know if you can show the audio of Acosta's thing he had or not. There was some pretty rough stuff in there.
So now we go
One
to
shirt you need to look. Don't see.
Okay.
So we go to Acosta, and he's got Wolf Blitzer, and Wolf is in studio, and he's doing the stand-up, all right, and shooting back to CNN. And it starts out where they're trying to talk back and forth, and then he tries to talk through it, and then he just goes ahead and says,
Yeah,
"Now
be
what
aware if you're
hearing."
watching RBTV, there may be some shirts and signs in the background.
Yeah.
Put your hand on trigger.
Florida tonight to,
Look at Wolf.
well, President Trump is in Florida tonight to do some campaigning ahead of the midterm elections, but the president and his team are still busy.
Look, they're even slowing the feed down.
to get their
what's going on?
stories
See what happens with fake
midterm
news.
elections, but the president and his team
I'm now getting mad.
are still.
What's going
Never
on?
mind.
Why is it dragging like that? Try it again. Let's try it again.
That's all I got to
I'm
do,
going to come
man.
down with it a little bit.
Why is it dragging?
And his team are still busy trying to get their story straight on the Russia investigation. Mr. Trump is now echoing his lawyers who have gone from saying there was no collusion during the 2016 election to insisting that collusion is not a crime after all. And Wolf, just to give you a sense as to what's happening right now, you can hear there is a chorus of boos and other chants from this Trump crowd here in Tampa, Florida. They're saying things like CNN sucks, go home, and fake news. Wolf, obviously, all of those things are false. We're staying right here. We're going to do our job and report on this rally to all of our viewers here tonight.
Rick in the reporter's voice. He's saying CNN sucks. And
chants like
fake news, go home. But we're not.
We're not leaving our post.
Very
We're not
proud
gonna-
of myself.
Golly.
No, it's comical,
Precious.
isn't it?
Y'all realize all this is real, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
our president.
Don't you feel like I'm telling you about what if and instead of it being real?
It's unbelievable.
Greg,
Guys, when he acts like a serious
When he's
president,
being-
welcome here. I'm leaving because
When
I'm
he did
boring you to death.
And then he walks off.
somewhere.
That might be
the
my
Hey,
entire-
Rick, that's your leader of the free world.
Greg, the entire Bush family leapt from a bridge.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh my
That
God!
might be one of my favorites there. I'm sorry.
that
It might
is
be.
good.
It
That
might
is
be.
good.
Y'all, he just said he was more popular than any Republican, with the exception of the great top hat that Abe Lincoln wore.
Well, and
we
some,
love
of,
Abe.
some of the reporters
Who had that hat?
were pointing out that they didn't do popularity polls way back then. But,
Right.
you know, it
That's a
doesn't
good
take
point.
away from the presentation.
Golly.
They'd say, he's not acting presidential. And I'd say, well, it's a lot easier to act presidential than to do what I do.
Than to do what I do.
Anybody can act presidential.
Face. Face. Face.
There he goes.
This is the leader of the
This is a
free
complete
world.
ad lib.
Greg, this is the leader of the free world.
Why do I feel like that was not scripted by the general?
Yeah.
That is the most powerful man in the world.
His handlers are going, what's he doing? What's he doing?
I know,
What
they're
is he
like,
doing?
good God.
But I love this, y'all. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You think Red Hat
the
doesn't love
state
him?
of Florida, thank you very much for being here. You are tremendous people. And I will leave now because I am boring you to death.
There he goes. There he goes.
Oh, Rick,
unbelievable. That's actually happening.
Yeah, I mean that's not a Saturday Night Live skit.
No, it's not.
That's the real thing.
No, it will be one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my you know it is.
When he says the anchors are flipping through, going, "What's going on?"
Right, y'all.
7 more years.
And when he decided to give the accolades of Abraham Lincoln, he chose his top hat.
Yeah.
That was his.
Can I hear this one more time?
Just
One of these guys, when that poll came out, most popular, and it was in the 90s. And one of these guys was on television, can't miss a word, can't miss a word. I mean, they see the poll, oh my God, look at this, oh my God. Yeah, 7 more years, 7 more.
Top of the hour.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
WGGH Marion.
We trust that the programs and ministries on AM 1150 are a blessing to you. The views and opinions of the hosts are not necessarily those of the ownership or management of this station. More information on our ministries and program schedules are available at WGGH.net. Thank you for listening, and please consider supporting the ministries on AM 1150 WGGH.
Today on Insight for Living from Chuck Swindoll.
When we come to the place of danger or threat or the uncertainty of the future, our greatest resource is time spent on our knees. God doesn't call everyone to the mission field. Those He does not call, He nevertheless calls to a lifetime commitment to prayer.
Eavesdropping on someone's personal prayer seems like a huge violation of privacy. After all, when a friend or family member begins to express their deepest concerns to God, it hardly seems proper to listen in on the conversation. John chapter 17 presents an exception. It's the moment when Jesus, just before his crucifixion, cried out to God in prayer. Today on Insight for Living, Chuck Swindoll invites us to witness Jesus' agonizing expression. We know that God gave us a glimpse into this dramatic scene to accomplish His purposes in us. Chuck titled today's message, Divine Intercession.
Take courage. I have overcome the world. John 16:33. These were the words Jesus spoke to His bewildered disciples just before His death. It was now time for the Lamb of God to be slain for the sins of the world. It would be a time of excruciating pain, intense fear, and confusion. A time of scattering for those with whom He had shared so much of His life. It would be a time of requiring the protection of prayer. And that's just what Jesus provides here in John chapter 17. Let's enter this quiet scene with Jesus praying at the midnight hour. And let's learn together what was utmost on His heart, not only for those few close companions, but also for you and for me, and for all who would one day believe on His name. I'd like to read the first 19 verses of this magnificent 17th chapter of John. It's a chapter of prayer. Join me in your Bibles as I read John 17, verses 1 through 19. After saying all these things, Jesus looked up to heaven and said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son so He can give glory back to you. For you have given Him authority over everyone. He gives eternal life to each one you have given Him. And this is the way to have eternal life, to know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, the one you sent to earth. I brought glory to you here on earth by completing the work you gave me to do. Now, Father, bring me into the glory we shared before the world began. I have revealed you to the ones you gave me from this world. They were always yours. You gave them to me, and they have kept your word. Now they know that everything I have is a gift from you, for I have passed on to them the message you gave me. They accepted it and know that I came from you, and they believe you sent me. My prayer is not for the world, but for those you have given me, because they belong to you. All who are mine belong to you, and you have given them to me, so they bring me glory. Now I am departing from the world. They are staying in this world, but I am coming to you. Holy Father, you have given me your name. Now protect them by the power of your name, so that they will be united just as we are. During my time here, I protected them by the power of the name you gave me. I guarded them so that not one was lost, except the one headed for destruction, as the Scripture foretold. Now I am coming to you. I told them many things while I was with them in this world, so they would be filled with my joy. I have given them your word, and the world hates them because they do not belong to the world, just as I do not belong to the world. I'm not asking you to take them out of the world, but to keep them safe from the evil one. They do not belong to this world any more than I do. Make them holy by your truth. Teach them your word, which is truth. Just as you sent me into the world, I am sending them into the world. And I give myself as a holy sacrifice for them, so they can be made holy by your truth.
You're listening to Insight for Living. To search the Scriptures with Chuck Swindoll, be sure to download his Searching the Scriptures studies by going to insight.org/studies. And now the message called Divine Intercession.
John Knox was a voice in the wilderness. One of his biographers writes, he was a stern man for a stern age. Church historians love to compare Luther and Calvin and Knox. I think the best way to describe the three of them was that Luther carried the torch, Calvin carried the pen, and Knox carried the sword in fashioning and forming the great Reformation of the 16th and on into the 17th centuries. If you're a student of history, you certainly have come across and dwelt upon the name of John Knox. He was controversial in many ways, a man of passion and fire in the pulpit. One who heard him on one occasion wrote that if he were to stay in the pulpit long enough, he would break it in pieces and fly all over the church in his message. Knox was a man who lived in a great battleship, doing war against the islands of religious paganism and tradition. He cared nothing for the flattery of men or for his own reputation. He seemed to be a man basically rugged in nature. He seemed to thrive on criticism. His life was shaped and marked by battles with Bloody Mary, who stood nose to nose against him, and it seemed as though she won the victory when she banished him from his pulpit, and he left to live for a while in Geneva. She didn't realize it, but he simply got a hold of the writings and the life of John Calvin, and there he came back with renewed zeal after her death, and by 1560, Scotland embraced the Reformed faith. He was more involved in the political scene than any of the reformers, especially those who were his contemporaries. Being a man of controversy, he even received criticism for his domestic life. As a matter of fact, it was at the age of 50 that he married a 17-year-old English lass named Margaret Stewart. But from that relationship, there came 3 daughters, and there also came a measure of quiet piety into his life. There was a tenderness brought out in his life by that marriage, so that by the end of his life, he had quieted down somewhat, and in fact, on his deathbed, he said to Margaret, and I quote, "Go, read where I first cast my anchor." Without further instruction, his wife went, found the copy of the scriptures he had used and preached from for years, and she turned quietly to the 17th of John. And every day of his waning days on earth, she read aloud to him the 26 verses of the 17th of John. You see, Knox was a believer that the saint who advances on his knees never retreats. It was said, as a matter of fact, by Mary, Queen of the Scots, on one occasion, she said it publicly, she feared the prayers of John Knox more than the combined armies of Scotland. Not only a man of fervency and passion on his feet, but on his knees. He believed that God was on his throne and man was on his footstool, and there was only a knee's distance in between the two. And it was there on his knees that Knox found all the fire he needed and the courage to carry the message of Jesus Christ, the believer priesthood, the whole ministry of the Holy Spirit, the inerrancy of the Word of God, to the people in the highlands and cities of his homeland, the land of Scotland. Go, read where I first cast my anchor. Some of his last words spoken on earth. He lived in a battleship, but he was successful because of the place where that anchor was located. In the rock-like truth of John chapter 17. Bishop Ryle says of John 17, "This stands alone. There is nothing like it in all of Scripture." One man wrote of this prayer, "It is the most remarkable prayer following the most consoling discourse in all of time." Technically speaking, and to the surprise of some, John 17 is the longest prayer of Jesus recorded in all the Bible. It is really the Lord's Prayer. And it is upon this passage that we want to cast our anchor for a couple of Sundays. And it's almost with apology that I say that. The chapter deserves a month of time for some kind of digestion. But we'll move through it as best we can in these couple of Sundays. I want us to spend today on the first 19 verses and then camp on the last 7 next Sunday morning, 20 through 26. And it carries with it, I find, a real missionary emphasis and impact. To begin with, let's establish the setting. It's like a lovely diamond in a particular kind of setting. If seen all alone, the beauty is missed. But if you put it in the black background of the scene in which it is located, it suddenly bursts alive with meaning. First of all, consider the time in which this prayer was uttered. It was stated by Jesus just before he was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. The time was probably midnight or the wee hours of the morning of the crucifixion. It was between 12 midnight and 1:30 or 2 in the morning that Jesus Christ uttered this prayer. Consider also the place where it was uttered. Look at verse 1 of chapter 17. These things Jesus spoke, and lifting up his eyes to heaven, he said, and then the prayer begins. Now look at 18:1. 17:1 says he lifts up his eyes to heaven. 18:1 tells us, when Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the ravine of the Kidron, where there was a garden into which he himself entered and his disciples. Somewhere between the upper room where they had their Last Supper and the ravine, the valley called Kidron, somewhere between there, Jesus paused, perhaps leaned up against a building. I rather think it was near the temple, where there were torches that burnt all night at Passover. That he was there, and he lifted up his eyes and he spoke to the Father. If you take a moment and look at the chart you were given, on the opposite side, you'll see a map of Jerusalem. We cannot locate where they had that Last Supper. Perhaps it was in what is called the suburb, right in the center of the map, right in the center of the city. Perhaps it was in the upper city or lower city, toward the southwest or southeast. But wherever they met for that Last Supper together, Jesus with his 11 men spent 30, 45 minutes talking after the meal about future things and about how they would continue without him. Then he got up from the meal and he left that place, that dwelling, that second-story flat, as it were, went down the stairway and made his way through an unknown area, through some valleys or some alleys in the city, to that place called Gethsemane in the easternmost part of the map. Now you'll notice there, south of Gethsemane, we see the valley of the Kidron. There was a ravine that ran from the temple down northeast, between the temple and the Garden of Gethsemane. As a matter of fact, there was a reminder, a mute reminder of death in that ravine. This was Passover. At Passover time, sheep, lambs were slaughtered in the temple as a Jewish sacrificial act, seeking cleansing from sin. 30 years after the death of Jesus, a census was taken of the number of lambs slain in the temple. And the census tells us there were 256,000 lambs slaughtered. The blood from those lambs ran down a channel into a small viaduct or conduit that led off into the ravine and flowed out of the city to take the contamination of dried blood out of the city. In other words, the ravine at this particular time was very likely red, as a mute reminder of the sacrificial lambs being slaughtered there in the temple. What a marvelous reminder it was to the disciples, who probably never caught it till it was all over. But the smell of death was in the air. And just before they got to the ravine, Jesus paused. And as if lost in the emotion of the moment, he leaned against heaven, as it were, and he prayed. He cast his anchor on the God of heaven for the prayer and for the strength that he would need to go through the next several hours. You see, when facing death, there is no greater drive in the heart of the child of God than the drive to pray. And so our loving Savior, when he came to the Kidron, just before they went across it, he paused for prayer. So much for the place. Let me mention the occasion. Continue to read in chapter 18, verse 2. Now Judas also, who was betraying him, knew the place, that is, the place in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus frequently went there. For Jesus had often met there with his disciples. Judas then, having received the Roman cohort, which is a nice dignified word for a mob, and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. In other words, just after the supper and just before the arrest, all of time seemed to stop. And Jesus was alone in a vertical, unbroken relationship, communicating with the Father. Just before he went into their arms, taken under arrest by the mob. You see, verse 4 tells us he knew all the things. Being omniscient, he knew what was ahead of him. And knowing what was ahead, he stopped to pray. Back to chapter 17, and let me apply that just before we go any further. The child of God, all of us, excluding no one, when we come to the place of danger or threat or the uncertainty of the future, our greatest resource is time spent on our knees. God doesn't call everyone to the mission field. Those he does not call, he nevertheless calls to a lifetime commitment to prayer. Let me ask you, just in the sweep of time for the last, 45 minutes we've been together this morning, just thinking back through the past week or two or even the month, how much time was invested in prayer for those on the field? It's almost a glib cliche that support them. Support them how? Well, with dollars and lots of dollars. Not enough, but a lot. But I don't know of a missionary on earth who would say, my greatest need is money. I have yet to meet one, and I've seen some of them firsthand on the field. I have yet to meet one who deny the fact that his greatest need, her greatest need, is prayer support. Living in the threat and uncertainty of tomorrow. These individuals, sinners like we, needy like we are, rely upon us for continued prayer support. Now, Jesus was, in fact, a lamb ready for the slaughter. And his immediate response was time in prayer. Now let's look at the prayer as a whole, and then we'll go back and analyze some of the parts. Verse 1. You will notice, to begin with, in an overview of these verses, Jesus prays for himself. That's verses 1 through 5. There were three things on the Lord's heart that early morning hour. First, his own needs. He mentions them in the first verse. Father, the hour has come. Glorify thy Son. We'll talk about the hour and even the thought of glory in a moment. But just notice in the first 5 verses, he prays for himself, his own needs and desires. Beginning with verse 6 to 18, or 19, I should say, he prays for his disciples, the 11 men around him. Verses 6 through 19, he prays for the disciples. Verse 6, he mentions them, I manifested thy name to the men whom thou gavest me out of the world. He's referring to the 11 disciples, and he prays for them. Now, verse 9 assures us of that. I ask on their behalf. I do not ask on behalf of the world, but upon those whom thou hast given me. So he prays for his 11 men, prays for his disciples. Now at verse 20 to the end of the chapter 26, he prays for all who would believe on him. In the Lord's Prayer, he remembers you and me. That's a great thought, isn't it? In his omniscience, he saw in the future all who through the disciples' ministry and those whom they discipled, he saw all who would believe. He saw the believers of the Dark Ages, the believers of the Reformation, the believers in the era of the 19th and 20th centuries when all hell would break loose against the things of God. He prayed for each one, verses 20 through 26, and that will be our concern next Sunday morning as we consider his prayer on behalf of those who would believe in me through their word, verse 20.
One of the best gifts you can offer to a friend is to pray for their specific needs. Well, imagine then our privilege when Jesus prays for us by name. You're listening to Insight for Living and a message from Chuck Swindoll titled Divine Intercession. Well, we're just getting started in the study of John chapter 17, and we urge you to be listening again tomorrow. In the meantime, you can hear the entire sermon by purchasing the downloadable audio. Ministry like Insight for Living is fueled not by purchasing products such as books, CDs, and DVDs, but we're empowered by loyal listeners who give voluntary donations. If you've never stepped forward to do your part, or if it's been a long time since you've given a contribution, we invite you to become a financial partner today. No gift is too small to make an impact. To send a donation in the mail, write to Insight for Living, Post Office Box 5000, Frisco, Texas 75034. Again, that's Post Office Box 5000, Frisco, Texas 75034. Or you can call us at 1-800-772-8888 or give online at insight.org. Listen again Thursday when Chuck Swindoll continues his message called Divine Intercession, right here on Insight for Living.
Oasis is brought to you by the Park Avenue Church of God in Herrin, Illinois, located at 2019 North Park Avenue on the north side of Herrin. Church service times are Sunday school at 9:30 a.m., morning worship at 10:30 a.m., Sunday evening service at 6 p.m., and Wednesday night prayer and Bible study at 7 p.m. The Park Avenue Church of God's phone number is 618-988-8882.
An oasis is a fertile, life-giving spot in the midst of a dry, barren wasteland. Carl Richardson has a message of solid information, which we hope will be an oasis for you.
They went to their pastor as the last resort. In almost every aspect of their lives, Sharon and Andy were successful. He was a partner in a prominent law firm. She started selling giftware out of their home and later opened boutiques in popular shopping malls. Their mail was delivered to one of Hollywood's most fashionable neighborhoods. Their marriage, though, was collapsing. They walked into the pastor's study and sat on opposite ends of the couch. The only way they could have gotten any further apart would have been to have pushed off the armrests. It was an indication of how far apart they were in their relationship with each other. Their pastor remembered when they had sat on the same couch for premarital counseling. They sat in the middle, he said, touching, holding hands, nodding in agreement. But here they were at opposite ends, trying to get still further apart. For a few moments there was an awkward silence. Then the pastor asked Andy to recall what he had loved most about Sharon when they were dating. Instead of doing that, he spent the next hour, a full 60 minutes, tearing her down. All the feelings which up inside of him were released in torrents of bitterness. To her credit, Sharon kept silent. "Are you finished?" she asked. Andy looked at the opposite wall and didn't answer her. Spurred by his first attack and then by his rejection, she jumped to her feet, thrust her finger into his face, and with a voice bathed in anguish shouted, "What will it take to satisfy you, Andy?" At Sharon's question, Andy buried his face in his hands and wept uncontrollably. The hurt caused by Andy's attack was still evident in Sharon's eyes as she sat down and slowly, hesitantly reached for Andy. Her fingers were in the shape of a fist when her hand first touched him. As though shocked by electricity, he pulled his hand away and then just as quickly put it back. Sharon nervously ran her fingers over his hand, and then she too began to weep. The battle to restore their marriage wasn't over, but the first campaign toward victory began with Sharon's question, "What will it take to satisfy you?" An obscure proverb says, "Greed has two daughters. Their names are give me and give me." There are three things that are never satisfied. There are really four that never say, "I've had enough." These things are the cemetery, the childless mother, land that never gets enough rain, and fire that never says, "I've had enough." Proverbs 30, 15, and 16. Reading that proverb, I ask myself and I ask you, what will it take to satisfy you? Power? Money? Health? What will it take to satisfy you? A popular athlete excused his sexual excesses by explaining his self-declared obligation, quote, "to have sex with as many women as I could," end of quote. The desire to satisfy his lusts became all-consuming. Snorting cocaine, shooting heroin, and drinking alcohol are not the only addictive behaviors which enslave people. The desire to be satisfied by something, by anything, is as overwhelming as any narcotic. Have it once and you'll first want more, then need more. Finally, you'll be consumed by more. Everything in the universe, even the good things, will be empty and hollow and meaningless and pointless until Jesus, the Son of God, fills every area of your life. Your desires will envelop you. Finally, they will consume you. It's been said of Chinese food, you're hungry half an hour later after you've eaten. One day, Jesus served a meal to 4,000 people who ate and were satisfied. What will it take to satisfy you? If your answer is anything other than Jesus, you may never be satisfied.
You have just heard a message from Carl Richardson, which we hope you have found to be an oasis. For a free printed copy, write to Box 750, Brandon, Florida, 33509-0750. That's Carl Richardson, Box 750, Brandon, Florida, 33509-0750. To hear more Oasis programs and for more information on the ministry, go to carlrichardson.org.
WGGH Marion. We trust that the programs and ministries on AM 1150 are a blessing to you. The views and opinions of the hosts are not necessarily those of the ownership or management of this station. More information on our ministries and program schedules are available at WGGH.net. Thank you for listening, and please consider supporting the ministries on AM 1150 WGGH.
How firm a foundation, ye saints of the Lord, is laid, for your faith in his excellent word. What more can he say than...
A believer should desire to please God, not because he must please him like a slave, but because he is a son and wants to please his Father. That's just a bit of the wisdom our teacher, Dr. J. Vernon McGee, shares with us as we continue our discussion about liberty versus the law today on Through the Bible. I'm your host, Steve Schwetz, welcoming you to another great adventure in God's Word. Now, if you don't